So, hello, everybody. We are back again to our hashtag Holistic Health 2025, baby. Boo, 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 boo. And we are in the month of August, wearing our August edition. Ooh, fire, fire. If you are interested in buying them or learning how to make them, just search Beacon of Light Craft on every social media platform and just contact us and we'll take it from there. So, today we are talking about community service and volunteering under the theme hashtag peaceful light, and we are going to be having Beata Carter as our, yes, I can already see her as our guest for today. So while we wait for our guest to join,
I was saying that our programs are meticulously crafted. So we cover everything from ethical project placements to comfortable accommodation and in-country support, as well as exciting local activities for our tourists or clients. And since its inception in 2013, VA Volunteers has been at the forefront of ethical volunteerism in South Africa. So our mission is to provide authentic, impactful volunteer experiences that contribute meaningfully to our country's socio-economic development. So we're a locally owned and managed social enterprise. My business partner and myself bring a wealth of experience and passion to every aspect of our business. My business partner Gary has over a decade of involvement in volunteer hosting, and then myself, I've spent the past 15 years in the development sector working with various nonprofit organizations. And then, of course, I started my career in tourism. So there's a perfect combination in terms of this business. So we've cultivated a deep understanding of the needs and the aspirations of both volunteers and, our local communities. And yeah, we believe that volunteerism should be more than just a travel experience. It should be a transformative journey that benefits both the volunteer and the community that they're serving. And so we've built our business around the principles of ethical volunteering. And in terms of ethical volunteering, that means, creating sustainable partnerships. So we collaborate with nonprofit organizations that prioritize sustainable long-term solutions. And we provide authentic experiences. So our programs offer genuine opportunities to connect with local communities and make a real difference. And then, of course, there's the skills-based volunteering, where we encourage our volunteers to share their skills and their expertise to empower local communities. And then we, as I said before, we cover various areas of volunteering, which is wildlife conservation, marine conservation, childcare, and community development. And so, yeah, in a nutshell, that is, what VA Volunteers does.
amazing. I'm blown away. As I'm sitting here, I'm already blown away. We haven't even started, but I'm already blown away. Imagine. Anyway, all right, Beata. I love the name is Beata Carter. Oh gosh. Okay, my
Close to
friend,
Beyonce Carter.
imagine. Exactly. Okay, so okay, Beata Carter.
Mm.
My first question is, what are the benefits and importance of volunteering for both the individual who is doing the volunteering and the community that is receiving the
Yes.
volunteering? Mm.
Yeah. So for the volunteer, of course, they are empowered with leadership skills. They get to lead in different ways. Um, there is cultural immersion for them. So they, specifically with our volunteers who are foreigners, they get to experience, the culture. So in various communities, they get to see what South Africa development sector is about, what the local community's needs are, how things are done, which is most likely different to where they come from. Um, and then for the community, what the community, the organization, the nonprofit, they get capacity. So our volunteers build capacity for them. So basically, where they don't have enough hands or support, they get these foreigners or the volunteers to come and help them. So it benefits. There are benefits on both sides, and essentially, it's really about the community getting the support that is needed. Yeah.
Love it, love it. So it truly benefits the individual, and you've even added a third party. So it benefits the individual, the
Yeah.
organization, and the community. Oh, this is
Correct.
amazing.
So if you look
Okay.
at some of our programs, for example, the wildlife conservation. So a tourist or anyone can go and experience wildlife as a tourist. You go to a national park, you see the animals, but you don't really get to see what's happening behind the scenes. And so volunteering exposes you to that. So you get to see what the rangers are doing behind the scenes. They are actually actively collecting data. They are, moving animals, attending to sick animals, all of those kinds of things that you wouldn't see as a visitor. And if you're going to a place of safety for girls as a volunteer, again, you know, you get to see what's happening behind the scenes, how the nonprofit responds to the challenges of the community and the children that they serve. Yeah.
Love it. I never looked at it like that. I just thought that wild park would just run itself. Right now, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, there's a lot going on behind the scenes that we don't get to see.
Wow, I've just realized that. I'm shocked. I'm shocked.
Mm.
Wow, this is eye-opening. Okay, what are the different ways to get involved in volunteering? If somebody will be like, okay, I really want to go in volunteering, what are the different ways to get into that sector?
Yeah. So look, I mean, with us specifically with VIA volunteers, there's an application process. So if you were to come through us, and this is really geared for tourists or foreigners who are coming into South Africa, so they're not familiar with what's happening locally, they would come to us. We've already vetted our organizations or our nonprofit partners. So there's a bit of peace of mind that you are going to be placed with an organization that has been vetted, that they are ethical, and yeah, it's a matter of applying, selecting which program you're interested in. We then find out whether they have availability, and we take care of all the logistics around placing the volunteer with the organization. Um,
Okay.
we also we also offer short term. So on average, our programs run from sort of 2 to 6 weeks. Some people want to stay longer, others want to do a shorter time. And we also have availability for our clients and tourists who are just here for sort of 2 weeks, and they only have 2 or 3 days to volunteer. So we can arrange, a short-term placement. And then we have other tourists who don't necessarily want to volunteer, but they are interested in what is happening in the development sector. So they want to see what our nonprofits are doing. So we would take them out for a day and just visit our nonprofit organizations where they get introduced to what the organization does, what their needs are. They can then go away and support them from a distance if they'd like. Um, and then, in general, if our local communities want to volunteer, they wouldn't necessarily come through us. They can just, directly contact. We have over 300,000 nonprofits in South Africa. So, for anyone locally who just wants to volunteer, I would suggest that they just, look at what organizations are active in their communities or in their geographical area. And then there are also service organizations like Rotary. So I'm involved with Rotary as well. And Rotary is an international service organization. And Rotary has clubs all over South Africa. So again, Rotary is an organization that has they're already organized in a club and they support nonprofits as well. So yeah, so locally people can join a club like Rotary. There are other service clubs as well, but that's always a good idea. If you're not sure where to go, how to volunteer, you don't want to do your own vetting of a nonprofit, you can join a club and offer your services via a service club. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. And that was my next question. Imagine, I wanted to say that what if I'm a South African,
Yeah.
I'm a local and I want to go through this thing and you've just suggested Rotary and all that. I truly love that. Okay, but for somebody who is an individual, how can they go into this? They're saying that, okay, I don't want to associate myself with Rotary. I just want to be an individual doing this thing. How can they go about
Well,
doing
then it is just a matter of contacting, finding an area of interest. So whether it's childcare or if you want to, it's always good to look at what skills you have to offer as a volunteer. So what skills do I have? I can teach maths, or I can teach whatever it is you have a skill for, or if you don't have a particular skill but you enjoy spending time with the elderly, or you enjoy spending time with babies, then look for a nonprofit doing that kind of work that you're interested in. And then I would suggest contacting them and finding out what their needs are, whether they need volunteers, and let them know what you're about. Send them your CV, or if you don't have a CV, just tell them, this is what where I can add value. Do you need my services? And then take it from there. And of course, some organizations don't accept volunteers. Others do. Most of them do. And yeah, that would just be an easy way to get started or get involved.
it? Yeah, I truly understand. Sorry, I have a very naughty intern, a very busy intern. Bear with me. Okay, no, I think that makes sense. That actually makes sense. That if you don't have a CV, then it's up to you to negotiate with the party you want to aid. So, okay, another question is how to start and sustain a community service project. Okay, you say that I have maybe okay. Let's talk about this as standalone person. What would you advise this person? In fact, let's just say, how did VIA start? What were the motivations behind, and how did you go about doing all the? If you're comfortable sharing, but don't overshare. If you're uncomfortable, yes, yeah.
Yes. So look, VIA, like I said, started in 2013. I wasn't one of the founders, and neither was Gary, our business partner. So the founders were actually from the UK. They came over to South Africa. They lived here, and they started. And I'm not quite exactly sure what their motivation was. I think they might have seen, the the need for volunteers and seen the that volunteerism was growing. Foreigners were looking to volunteer, so they probably just saw the opportunity. But yeah, for people who want to start their own projects, I always feel that there are, like I said, there are so hundreds of thousands of nonprofit organizations in South Africa at the moment, and many of them are doing good work. And there's a variety of areas and sectors that they already serve. So as opposed to starting from scratch and reinventing the wheel, I think the first port of call should be to find out what other nonprofits are already doing a similar kind of project. So if you can collaborate, I would say collaborate and add capacity to an existing nonprofit as to starting, another nonprofit. If, however, this is a project that you find doesn't exist, nobody else is doing that, and you're wanting to do your own thing, yeah, it's like starting a business, really. So it would sort of be the same principles in terms of developing a concept. What is this project going to be? Have a plan in terms of how you're going to implement it. How are you going to get funding? Of course, nonprofits, are called nonprofits because they operate on obtaining funds. And then in the last several years, there's also been a great move towards becoming self-sustainable as opposed to just waiting for a handout of funds. So nonprofits are now doing their own fundraising and having their own businesses or revenue generating projects where they can actually sustain themselves as opposed to asking others for funds. So ultimately, that's where we want to be as nonprofits, where you're doing the work that's required, but you also have an income stream. So you're selling a product or you're providing a service where you can generate profits and then use that profits to sustain whatever the project is or whatever the work is that you're doing or trying to address. So yeah, and then of course there's there's requirements and there's a lot of red tape as well around being a nonprofit. So you have to have some sort of credibility. So if you have a organization, not an organization, but if you have a project, to give people peace of mind that the project is credible, you are going to, possibly register as a nonprofit company. And then you're also wanting to register with the Department of Social Development as a nonprofit organization where you get, an MPO number. And that means that then you actually, a fully fledged nonprofit. And that's a whole other ball game. But yeah, if it is just a project, again, I would say as opposed to just doing a project on your own, collaborate with an existing nonprofit or a service organization like Rotary or Lions Club, or there are a few of them, where you can take your idea, join the club, and then say, "This is what I want to do."
Wow. You're just opening my mind. I'm just writing things here. I mean, you, wow. You're just opening my. I'm very much invested in this NPO thing. I love volunteering. In fact, I'm just a born philanthropist.
Okay.
So I love that. So do they? Oh, okay, this out of the question. But do they tax these businesses, the side businesses that belong directly to the NPO, that fund the NPO?
Yes. So and again, I'm not the expert, but I'll stand under correction. But your yeah, the side business that you're doing to generate funds would operate as, as a business. However, your taxation would be linked to whether you're a non-profit company. So, so it's income as a non-profit company that you're receiving, and yes, there would be a certain amount of tax. However, you could also apply to be a public benefit organization, which means that you're tax exempt. So that is a separate application to SARS that one would do as a non-profit company or an NPO. Yeah.
Okay. No, I think that's. Oh, by the way, disclaimer, viewers, if you're viewing right now or viewing after this live, Beata is from South Africa. By the way, Beata, came from the Kingdom of Eswatini. So, yeah.
Okay.
So, yes. So I'm just putting
Yes.
forth because so they know that SARS is the same as CRA. So
Okay.
don't be confused there. Don't be okay. So I think yeah. I think that's good. So now, this is my final question. Uh, if I was the youth, I'm here before you. I'm just representing the youth. I'm here to say, Beata, please mentor me. I want to understand the benefits of volunteering, the challenges of volunteering, and what's your take, in line with your experience, or anything you just want to say to me, whether to recruit me into volunteering or just tell me, you know what, it's not your thing. Just shy away from this.
Yeah. So again, volunteering, especially for youth, is an opportunity to broaden your horizons in every aspect. Also to develop your skills. So regardless of whether you're in a job or you have a career plan, volunteering adds benefits. It's good. It really looks good on your CV. People want to see that you are giving back as well. So if you have, you have a job, you've got that sorted, but you also have a heart and you want to give back to your community. And while you're doing the volunteering, while you're giving back, you are developing skills. Like I said, earlier, there's leadership skills that you do. And it really depends on which organization you're volunteering with. But there's all kinds of skills that you develop, depending on what you're doing. So you sharing your skills and you obtaining or you broadening the skills that you don't have by working with an organization, which is not something that you would be doing in the course of your day job or your career. Of course, you're doing good by again increasing the capacity of the organization that you're volunteering with, and so really it's a win-win, both sides. And it's also important for people to understand that volunteering is a responsibility. It's not just, oh, I'm going there, I'm going to give my time, and you've got to be serious about volunteering. It's like a job, just as serious as you would treat your job, because yes, although you're helping and you're not being paid for it, you still have the accountability of and the responsibility of whatever assistance you're offering, that you're doing that to the best of your ability and doing a good job of it, so that you're really adding value as opposed to just taking space, in an organization. Yeah.
That's very true. That's quite true. And then the challenges.
Mm. So the challenges sometimes can be that, I mean, there are a few, but with organizations, a lot of organizations don't have capacity, like I said. So the people working in the organizations are already, they are so busy, they don't actually have time to spend with volunteers. So, so it's a bit tricky when it comes to volunteering. You don't want to be there and add pressure and add to the challenge that they're already trying to solve. So it's, to really add value by not by showing up, you know, showing up with your best foot forward as a volunteer, and not adding stress to you. You don't want to add to um, or add to the burden in terms of now having to be managed. So you really want to go and fit in and just do your best, to not be a burden. Um, yeah, and of course, some of the challenges also in terms of the organizations, when volunteers don't show up, then the organization experiences they now being drained, as opposed to a volunteer adding value. They having to manage absenteeism, or having to, you don't want volunteers to be unreliable. So there's a sense of reliability that comes with it. Yeah, those are some of the main challenges that organizations experience, and volunteers can experience, going into an organization and not being directed in terms of what they should be doing. And so they sometimes feel that, I'm just standing around, I'm not being useful. Um, and that is when, some volunteers would just shy away and say, oh, this is not for me, as opposed to opening the lines of communication and just speaking to, the relevant people in the organization. Um, yeah.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, that's true. That's true. So for the organization, if you don't put your best foot forward, you're being a baby, a
Mm,
liability for them. And also, if you don't show up, it's like you're doing this turnover thing, unpaid turnover. I've seen myself. I've also had help around and just changing people about, people absenting themselves, people not showing up, and
mm,
it's lost on you. Imagine how much more an organization that is constantly running. Um, and also, please wait a minute. And also, with part of what the volunteer, I heard you saying that you should always open the lines of communication. Which means that even if you see that, okay, it might be possible that I'm not needed here, but try by all means to open up your communication. Ask, okay, what can I do? How can I, yeah, just always ask. I have another question that, how can one put their best foot forward while they're not being paid? Like, what's the motivation? Tips, how to motivate yourself.
mm. Yeah, I suppose, you should look at it as, you going in to be of service. And if you're going to be of service, you shouldn't be limiting yourself to be selective in terms of what you're wanting to do. Um, so that kind of preparation beforehand is essential. Being flexible, being flexible to, what, I'm here to serve in whichever way, I can. And I think most people would actually obtain or derive motivation once they're in the organization and they see, this is the difference that they're making. And generally, organizations, MPOs are grateful to their volunteers. And so, yeah, generally you would find that motivation is sort of, yeah, obtained on the job. Whatever it is whoever it is you're working with, there's appreciation most of the time. So, yeah, and if you find that you're in an organization where you're really not feeling motivated and you're not, getting appreciation, it's not really about getting appreciation, but if you're not feeling comfortable and motivated, then maybe that's a sign to find, a different organization. Once again, there are so many nonprofits out there that need assistance. So just, find a few that you can work with, and eventually you'll land on the one where you're a good fit.
True. True. I feel you. I feel you. So I do understand that you're saying that sometimes the motivation just comes with the work because you're happy to be doing the work. And also, if you feel trained in this organization, I mean, you've got options.
Mm.
But then people should consider the fact that it's possible that you're not maybe meant to volunteer. So find yourself your own niche. I mean, so yeah, I feel you. I feel you, Beata. So I think this is it. I don't know. Is there anything you want to add or share before we start advertising via what VIA does and how to invite people to? Yeah. For now, can you summarize, share your thoughts, anything you want to say, your take, and anything? Then you advertise via.
Yeah. Yes. Well, yeah, I think that, as I said, there are thousands, hundreds of thousands of nonprofits. I think our aim should always be that ultimately there's no need for nonprofits. Our aim shouldn't be to keep nonprofits around, because that means that we're not actually addressing the systemic issues of society. And for me, I always like to look at giving a hand up as opposed to a hand out. And so finding an organization, there are organizations out there who are actually addressing the root cause, the systemic issues of the problem, as opposed to just, putting the plaster on the problem. And we're not there as a society in general. We're not close to eradicating nonprofits. So while where we are, there's a great need across the board. Um, and I think it's just, a matter of, yeah, being of service, finding the organization that works for you. And like I said, with Be a Volunteers, our focus is on ethical volunteering, meaning that we look for partner organizations who are actually providing or making a sustainable impact and addressing some of the systemic issues, and really making a contribution to eliminating or eradicating the problems that they're serving. Yeah, and then, in terms of VIA volunteers, like I said, our focus is on voluntourism, meaning it's tourists coming into South Africa and taking some of their time to make a meaningful contribution and an impact. We're also looking at expanding our services. So currently we only offer programs in South Africa, but we are going to be expanding that to other countries, other Southern African countries. Yeah, Eswatini, Botswana, Tanzania, Madagascar. There are a few that we in talks with. And then also in terms of our programs, the programs are currently in wildlife and marine conservation. And then we also do childcare and community projects or community development. And we're looking at expanding those programs to include health and education. So, we offer quite a variety. So yes, for locals to contact us, that's fine, except that, so we have a fee that we charge to place you with an organization. If you're willing to pay the fee, you're most welcome to contact us. So yeah, so as I said, we're a social enterprise, meaning that we are a for-profit business, but we have a socioeconomic impact in terms of the work that we do. Yeah.
No, okay, Beata Carter. I understand. I mean, what you've just said to me today has just changed my whole subconscious mind altogether. I'm like, what? Even this, even that. Yeah, I have learned so much. I've learned so much. And I heard you saying that the aim is to eradicate NPOs eventually. But then I'm
Mm.
like, in my head, I'm like, you know how I take humanity? I take humanity as a body. The head, the skin will always need the hands to scratch them. The
Yeah.
eyes, the whole body will always need the eyes to see. Where are
Yeah.
we going? Guide me, guide me. The whole body will need the feet to move from point A to point B. So that's how I always see humanity, that we're here to help each other. You cannot be the head, the hands, and the feet in one. You cannot be the everything as a human being, standalone human being. You cannot be everything as a standalone community. So we'll always need each other. I feel like we'll always need a helping hand as humanity, not
Yeah.
because we lack, not because we're not abundant, but because we're supposed to be an ecosystem. I don't know. That's just my take. In line with volunteerism, that it will never end. If it ends, that will mean that the spirit of Ubuntu has ended, and
Yeah.
that would be bad.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, yes, I'm listening.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, I suppose the ideal, I mean, that's being, sort of realistic, but ideally, what I'm saying is, wouldn't it be great if there was no need for nonprofits, which would mean that, yeah, you know, the challenges would be eradicated.
True,
But definitely, I mean, in terms of serving each other and serving one another, that should always be there.
true.
Yeah.
I think, okay, now I understand you. That instead of wanting an edge, let's remove the edge altogether.
Yes.
I really, I understand. Okay, okay. I see what you mean. That's amazing. That's lovely. So, Beata Carter, I will include, I will include via contact in the description and also on the comment section so that people can contact you guys. And then anybody who didn't know about you and maybe will come across this video will then come to you. So, from
Yeah.
me and Beata Carter, it's bye bye. Not unless you wanted to say something, Beata.
No, no, I'm good. Thank you. Thanks
Amazing.
for
From
the
me and Beata
conversation.
Kata. Pardon?
I just said thank you for the conversation and for the opportunity to share.
No. Thank you, thank you, thank you for schooling us today. We didn't know a lot of things. But then from us, from me and Via, Beata Kata, thank you, everybody. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.